Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jenny White.
How are you?
Good.
Can I get off our music, even though I could dance? I love our music.
It was a nice presentation last night you had.
No, yes. So I was at Lion's Den last night visiting with them about how a bill was made. And so basically I said, well, this year it isn't.
That's true.
So, yeah, I can tell you all about how bills become laws, but I'm not sure that's actually
doesn't really matter anymore.
No, I mean, I don't think the ones that we're, working with. So Carolyn is actually going to be able to join us at the regular time. What are you wearing?
Oh, I just thought since there's so much government accountability, I'd bring back my favorite shirt from 2016, Hillary for Prison 2016. I wore this everywhere.
Do you have a stack of t-shirts that's like this?
Yeah, I'm the political animal t-shirt guy. I just figured we need to bring that back out into the ethos. We can't just let her get away with all the bad stuff she's done. We need to drop the hammer on her just like everybody else. No immunity.
Yeah, but let's point that out though, shall we? The fact that it seems like there is no justice in the world anymore. I mean, the last little bit of justice I feel like we had was the J6ers got out and Trump pardoned them.
Yeah.
That's like the last little piece of justice. I mean, how many times have we heard, the teachers who are pedos slink off and go someplace never to be seen again? Oops, they popped up at another school. I mean, we just don't, it's like we don't understand the concept of justice anymore. And even if we did, we're so dadgum corrupt anymore that it just says, well, we'll just brush it under the rug.
I hate the complacency of it all, to where it's almost like, hey, you got busted or you got exposed, and then that's the end of it. I hate that there's no follow through, and especially, I really enjoyed Mick Rosato's presentation, and especially the plea to the Attorney General with all the evidence that they have, all the experts they brought in. Let's bring some justice to these criminals that basically killed people during COVID.
Killed people.
Yeah.
I mean, how is it that people who, shoot people and they die, they end up going to prison? I mean, it's the craziest thing.
Hey, how does Martha Stewart go to prison, Jenny? How does Martha Stewart go to prison?
Honestly, you have to think, seriously. So not Mark Wayne Mullen, but Martha Stewart, not Nancy Pelosi, but Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean, Martha Stewart in her Skechers feeding her chickens. Really? I mean, come on. I don't.
Well, that's the side that I hope, with maybe Trump's reinvigoration of the whole DOJ and the law enforcement. I hope that they can root out a lot of those bad players and actually get some people in there that are going to start being accountable. And I don't know. I just hope it turns. I mean, because if that doesn't change, then what's it all for? Really? I mean, sure, Elon's exposing all this stuff. The government's bad. There's all these bad actors, bad players. But if no one goes to jail, what's the point? What's the point in it?
But I think that's the overall point. And that should be the point about what's happening here too, because our AG who's running for governor, oh my gosh, he puts out more press releases in a day than I think even Clinton did. I mean, this dude knows how to press the release. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and yet I still haven't seen any corruption. Oh, hey, looks like things are working now. Marvin says, good morning. I see Carolyn under there, so we can bring her in a minute. And she looks so pretty. And I mean, what has he actually done? Who has he actually? There's still corruption. There's worse corruption. He keeps talking about corruption, but he doesn't seem to do anything about the corruption other than talk about the corruption. So I can't figure this out.
Well,
help me. Someone help me.
Well, and think about it like this, Jenny. Go drill all the way down to the very lowest level. Even with Tracy's work, our own Tracy in Rope, with their work
Tracy
in
Montgomery.
the Parents' Bill of Rights, there's no teeth in any of this stuff. There's no consequence for people that break the law or these bills or whatever it may be. And it goes all the way up to the federal level. There's just no consequence in any of that stuff.
Well, and Steph says, you know, and the frustration is real, people. The frustration is real. And we're going to talk a little bit. We'll talk to Carolyn here in a second because she's on, and you and I are going to talk some more at the end of the podcast about a couple of different things that are going on. But man,
we need, you're right. We need that whole justice. We need that justice aspect.
Yeah. Like I hate to say this, but I kind of feel, I mean, we need the old Western justice. I'm gonna stare you down. You know, I mean, things are not working the way they should be, and they need to. But you know what? I'm wondering if maybe Carolyn can help us with that.
Yeah.
So let's bring Carolyn in this morning and see what Carolyn has to say. If I can find my mouse, my computer is whack. Good morning, Carolyn.
Hey, good morning.
How are you? Do you want to see something?
Well, I'm fine. I just went to the chamber meeting for a quick notice to look at it and see what.
Okay, look at this.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Who's that? What about this one?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures ever.
I love that one. I love that one, but this has always been my favorite one. Do you even remember when that was?
Oh gosh.
I don't remember either. But I was definitely pound skinnier and had something other than gray hair, so that was probably
weren't you running for something then, like vice chair?
No, that I was not. That was the year that we had that big Common Core display at the state convention.
Oh, okay.
But no, I wasn't running for anything then at that point in time. And then here's the one.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a very good one.
Yeah, that was a proud day for me. She was an amazing lady. Holy cow.
Absolutely.
And look at that
one on my website.
Do you really?
Sure. Send it to me.
Okay, I will. That was a great day. But I couldn't have done that without you, though, Carolyn.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. What year was that? Do you remember?
No,
I got one in 2012.
Yeah, she didn't date it. But I want to say it was right around then, like 13 or something, because it was all after the Common Core stuff.
Right.
So look, we're just doing girl talk. Michael's like,
that's fine. Now, was that Phyllis you were with?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. There she is.
The founder of Eagle Forum.
Yeah.
Yes, who was an amazing. Did you see the picture I found of her on the web when she was?
Wow.
Yeah. She was an amazing lady. Just tell us a little bit about Phyllis, because so many people don't know. You know, it's been longer than 2 minutes ago, and so people don't know about Phyllis. Tell people about Phyllis.
She started being politically active in the 60s. Actually, she was for Goldwater in 64. and wrote a book about it. A Choice, Not an Echo. That was her first book, actually. And then the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment battle to stop the ERA. Stop ERA was her first organization that she developed. And she practically single-handedly stopped the Equal Rights Amendment. It was amazing. But she organized housewives across the country into little groups, and the little groups went to the state legislators and made their wishes known. And it happened here in Oklahoma. Bunny Chambers was involved with that, actually. And what they did was they baked bread and took it to the legislators. And it made quite an impression, apparently. They did that for like 10 years in a row. So that's how they got started. And then, so Eagle Forum developed right after the ERA thing. And Eagle Forum has just kept on with conservative family issues from that on.
Yeah, and that's what we need to talk about in a second. But here's the part that you left off about Phyllis. She wasn't she going to law school and raising 4 kids at the same time?
No, she went to law school when she was 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so after she'd stopped ERA, she went to law school.
Right.
But she still was raising 4 kids through all of that,
6
wasn't
kids.
she? 6?
Yes. 6.
6.
Right.
Wow.
Easy
And
peasy,
she was
right?
a full-time homemaker.
Right. Well, she was on the phone all the time, or writing all the time. I've seen pictures of her with her kids around her, and she's typing, and so multitasking started with her too, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's an important thing though, Carolyn. I mean, really, do you kind of chalk her up and Eagle Forum up to the very first time that housewives or anybody really got active as citizens in our legislature here in Oklahoma?
Well, that could be. It probably is. It certainly has been the most lasting movement that has been. And, we've been slack for years off and on, but we're coming back in full force now. So that's what it takes, just to be determined to do it.
Well, and that's what we wanted to talk to you about, because so many people, I think right now, I was talking to somebody the other day who has been in politics for many decades. Yeah. And has seen and went through the Gene Stipe era and went through the David Hall era. And for those of you who are watching that may not know who I'm talking about, Gene Stipe was an attorney. He was also a senator who went to prison for many, many years for, wasn't it like racketeering and extortion? And I mean, just a whole raft of really, massively corrupt things. And that was all, while he was senator. And then David Hall, who was our governor, Republican governor, right, who went to jail for doing the same things. So he said that he felt like that this was the most corrupt legislature that he's seen since David Hall.
What, right now?
Yes.
Oh, great.
So that was very disappointing to me. But I will say, I don't think that I've seen as much citizen work at the Capitol this year than I have since we were there with Common Core. I mean, what do you think about that?
That there is that
right
activity now. Yes, I think that's right. Well, there's so many issues that are so important and hitting people right where they live, like the wind, energy, and the humanure issue, and just ridiculous things that people are fed up. So it's time.
So you have an Eagle Forum Facebook page?
Well, actually, through the national.
Okay.
Through the national, yeah.
Okay, we might need to set you up an Eagle Forum Oklahoma page.
Well, there was one, but I can't get into it. I haven't been able to
Uh-oh.
track down who had control of that.
Oh, no.
So we may have to start over if we do
Yeah.
one separately.
Yeah, because I think that would help. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Facebook, as much as we all hate it, I think Facebook is probably really the best.
Used a lot by people our age.
That's true. However, I mean, some younger people are actually using that to coordinate as well.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I don't like Snapchat as a platform. My kids use it, and I try to get. I just don't like it. I like seeing the computer. I don't like trying to do this all the time.
Right.
And so I like seeing it in a bigger way.
Yeah, it's just easier.
Yeah. But we probably need to come up with like a Snapchat presence too. I mean, just to try to round people up. Last night when I was at the Lion's Den, there were actually some young people there, weren't there, Michael?
Yeah, there were.
Well, I hope we can get some young people involved too. And we do have some, but we're just getting started. So it takes time to.
No, restarted.
Yes, restarted for sure. Yeah. It was always kind of still there in the background, but we're bringing it back out into the open now.
So from undercover.
Yes.
Okay. So tell everybody, what do you think? Oh, wait, let me back up a minute because I want to give some of your credentials because I personally think they're phenomenal. So when you start, you've been active in the Oklahoma Republican Party for how many years?
Oh, since the early or mid 90s for sure. Early 90s. Yeah, a while.
And I forgot to say, your doctor, you were a veterinarian.
Yes, right. Practiced in Woodward for about 40 years.
And you were the Republican National Committee woman.
Yes.
For Oklahoma for how many years?
12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And Bunny was ahead of me. See, she was National Committee woman for 12. Did I say 20? 12 years. And I was for the next 12 years.
Well, that's when I met you, is when you were National Committee woman.
Right.
And you're just such a conservative. You're so different than me because you're just very quiet. You don't get your blood pressure up while as I'm screaming and waving my hands. And you're so quiet and just kind of, you scared me at first. I was like, she's kind of scary.
Well, maybe that's a good tactic.
I think it is.
You don't know what I'm thinking if my mouth is closed, right?
That's correct. That doesn't work for me. So what do you think is the best way for people, like if they're watching and they're thinking to themselves, I have these friends and they don't want to do anything and I can't get people moving, and what do you think is the best thing to kind of jumpstart people and kind of get people moving forward?
Well, I think just meeting with people that actually want to do something is where you need to go. And that's what this is all about. I want to gather people around that really want to make a difference and go talk to the legislators and, be trying to do it in a nice way, not lose your temper or anything, which can happen so easily. And I've been in situations where I went in to lobby with someone that I really didn't know that well, and then they got all angry and it wasn't nice, and I don't want to be associated with that. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, because it doesn't help any situation.
No,
I'm excitable, but I never get mad at people because it doesn't do any good. I mean, I'm just excitable.
Right.
What if they usually use the word passionate?
Yes, passionate. Well,
Jenny's
we can be passionate without.
Makes me giggle. But no, you're right. I mean, it doesn't help anything. If you go in and you get upset at people, they just shut you off. It's not like, you're going to get anywhere with that. can you talk a little bit about some of the tactics that you've used, and that maybe even during the ERA era, and then some of the tactics that we use during Common Core? Because I think people don't understand that it's important to know who your legislator is, right? And to go visit them and be vocal. But all of the legislators up there have some sort of responsibility to us, even if they aren't ours, and even if we didn't vote directly for them.
They're voting for the same things or against the same things. So yes, you don't limit yourself just to your legislator. You go to the ones that are involved with the issues that concern you. So there's a lot of prep work that needs to be done ahead of time. You need to know your issue and exactly where you stand and what points that you can use to persuade someone. So, that's probably the hardest thing, is to get everything in order, knowing what committees are involved and when they're going to meet and who's pushing what bill. So it takes more than one person to put it all together. And so I can see it would work better with little groups that are doing their issue, and then go and talk to the legislators in little groups, 2, 3, 4, and make an impression that way. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time with them, because one major thing that I've learned is, and it's a business thing too, don't talk past the sale.
Michael's kind of smiling at that one too. He's like, yeah.
Well, if you talk to someone and you lay out what you want and they agree, then you're done, really. Yeah. Just be nice and say thank you very much and bless them and go on to the next person.
Yeah.
And you can, some of these, really, as you get into it, you can rate the legislators on where they stand. And then you don't want to spend a lot of time with the ones that are totally for you, because you've already got them. And you don't want to spend time with the ones that are totally against you, because you're never going to get them. So you go to the ones in the mushy middle and try to give them good reasons to be on your side. So one thing that Phyllis, that her really best quote that I can remember is, you may vote for my issue for the reason of your choice.
That's pretty funny, actually. That's pretty funny.
And she really lived that out. I mean, this is a nonpartisan, non-sectarian organization. So there's a lot of variety of people. To build coalitions, you have to be open to, put up with some things you may not agree with on the next issue.
Yeah.
So.
And that's true. And that's kind of always, because I'm such a black and white person, I'm like, yes or no. It's always hard for me sometimes to do coalitions, because, I want to go, but I would prefer to badger you into my position on everything. Okay.
Yes.
So it's really hard. It can be hard to do coalitions, but let's talk, because we've got a nice audience this morning. And I think it's because people are really interested. They want to know how to get active, because I think what ends up happening is people will say, well, you need to contact your legislator and tell them not to vote for this. And they may know how to do that, or they may not know how to do that. And then they get all frustrated because I don't know anything about what's going on. I don't really understand it. Don't you think that, especially people who are starting out, it would be great to get in touch with you so that you can that group works together, so that not one person is going, wait, I don't know what's going on. You work together as a group to do all of these things.
That's the whole point of it, really. Organize in little groups that you're comfortable with, and then learn what you need to learn and how to present it, and then go do it. And it's fun. You got to make it fun, or people won't want to do it anyway. So it can be fun. Right?
Okay. Well, I will say the green, I'll put this back up one more second. That was a fun day.
It was fun. Yes, it was fun.
That was probably one of the most fun days I ever had. That was just fun. But that was, that was new. We did some stuff back then, Carolyn, that nobody had ever done before.
Yeah. Yeah. And it made an impression. And it was good organizing and really coming up with new ideas. They baked bread back in the 70s. So we wore green t-shirts. Yeah. And gave them, what was it? Cookies or something?
Yeah. We gave him cookies. Yeah. And then remember, Joy made up all of those baseball cards. And then we did the signs. I mean, we tried to do something different every week.
Very creative. And that's good. That is a good thing. So you want people around that have different talents, but still working for the same goal.
But again, it goes back to the reason why I'm trying to sell people on your organization. Mm-hmm. So do you remember how many times we met via phone or something at least once a week? 2012 and 2013 for sure, because our big push was in 2013 to get the bills done in 2013. Right. So we met once a week to think of these things. Okay, well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And so it wasn't one person. It was this whole group of people who came together to make this work.
Right. And I think that can maybe work a little easier nowadays with Zoom. You can use Zoom.
And, that's right. We didn't have Zoom back then.
Well, right. We didn't have Zoom.
Forgot about that.
Or, we probably didn't think about everybody getting on the same phone call even.
Yeah.
So, but of course, there again, it's more fun to get together to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to try to meet at least once a month at the legislature while it's in session. And then go from there. Hopefully have a speaker come in this summer. And then this fall is the big meeting in Washington this year.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go this year.
Yeah, Eagle Council meeting.
Yeah.
And it's fun to go lobby up there too. I was thinking about that, it's really not that much different to lobby up there than here, except for things are bigger. Yeah. The hallways are bigger. The offices are bigger. And the egos are bigger. Yeah.
And the money is bigger.
Right. But
I think
principle's the same.
Yeah, sort of. I'm so cynical. It's just gotten so, and I remember it was hard, during 2013 and, with the shirts and all of the work that we did, to do what we did. It was hard, but I just feel like this year has been for me to keep up with things. And that's why I was thinking, with you getting Eagle Forum back together, it just seems like a really great base camp for people to say, to get together and say, okay, what about this bill? Well, what about this bill? Right. Well, let's all get together and we'll meet up there and we'll, I'll help you do that. Because I think people don't understand, well, how do I find the offices? What do I say when I go in? There are so many questions about that.
For that. What to say when you go in.
But I think
I wrote a poem on it too. So there you go.
You did what?
I have a poem on Lobbying 101.
Okay, give us the poem on Lobbying 101.
Poem? Oh, really?
Okay, well, don't give us a poem on
lobbying. I can give you a poem. Find a poem. Okay. Poetry reading.
Wait, we'll do this. Isn't that what they used to do? I'll go get my beret.
Okay. All right. This is Lobbying 101. Is there an issue that moves you that is worth your time? One that could affect your family or cost much more than a dime? Go lobby your legislator. He or she does work for you. Bring a friend as a moderator and explain to them the cues. Prepare yourselves in advance. Know the topic through and through. Learn helpful tips to enhance the information you can prove. Wear a smile that shows respect and dress appropriately. Your demeanor will project your confidence ornately. Bring a short list of the reasons, pros and cons of the topic. Be sure each is in season and they follow good logic. Be on time for the appointment, but be patient when you wait. Be pleasant with the assistant. Busy people often run late. Know the times and the schedules of each committee in the mix. Know whose opinion and counsel could help you suggest a fix. Speak from your heart, top concerns. It's your personal persuader. The listener will discern that you're not a sly invader. Have your script in mind and ready with pertinent arguments. Always keep your nerves steady and end with cordial compliments. Build a coalition of votes that will move the proceeding. Always send a thank you note and speak blessings as you're leaving.
Actually, that was stellar, because I think that gave some really send that to me and I'll put that in, when I write up our thing from today. I'll stick that in there, because I do think that had a number of things that people who have not been to the Capitol might not cue in on.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Carolyn.
Okay.
Throughout all your experience going to the Capitol, and Jenny, you probably chime in on this too. How many times when you go talk to these legislators, do they really not even have a clue about the other side or what, or, you're going there to.
That's true. That's true. They have so many things bombarding them all at once. It's hard for them to keep up with everything. So that's why you have to be, educated yourself, knowledgeable on the topic, and able to tell them your points that are the correct way to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's probably because what I think I want people to realize is going down there is not just some feeble effort that has nothing comes out of it. I think people need to realize that as you engage, these people get educated, these legislators get educated in one way or another, and they actually will come to our side or vote correctly, I think, in one way or another.
It helps that personal touch, really. And to talk to the ones that are with you too, and encourage them, not to give up, remain calm and carry on, all that kind of thing. It helps. They appreciate it.
Well, they loved your poem. Steph said that was excellent. Wish I had heard it before. And Robert said, good poem. And Gloria said, excellent point.
Oh,
and
great.
then
thank you.
Michael, Lisa said, sit up straight. My husband thought you were wearing it.
Michael.
So justice. It's a long time coming. We're talking about some justice earlier, Jenny. I just want some justice to come.
Well, Fauci is another one I want justice for. Okay. So here's what I would like us to make sure that everybody understands. So this is called Eagle Forum,
Oklahoma.
How can they reach you? And how can we get out information about your meetings? I mean, we've got to get something set up on Facebook so that people have a way to get to you, because
true. Yes, true. We're just, in the beginning of the communication stage. I've got a group me for the ones that came to the first meeting. We have another meeting coming up at the legislature on the 17th.
Do you want to advertise that one?
Well, I'd like to know who's coming. It's a small room is the thing. It's not a great big room, so I can't just say.
Well, why don't we do this? Can we put your email out?
Yes.
Let's do that. Okay.
Do that. Carolyn.eagleforumok@gmail.com. Carolyn.eagleforumok@gmail.com.
Okay, make sure this is right then. Hold on.
Yes.
That's correct? Okay, I'm going to leave this up here for a while.
Okay.
Just so that people can take it down. So you can that's how you can contact Carolyn right now and just send her an email and say, hey, I'm interested in being involved. Can you put me on your email list? And then as soon as we can get you, and we do need to get your Facebook page done, because I do think
we do have a section of the national for Oklahoma. So I've kind of been using that, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. But
the national Facebook page
for Eagle Forum, yeah.
And you have a section of it? Here, I'm going to look it up and see if I can put it in while we're talking about it.
Yes. So I've been updating things on there and trying to get everything.
Well, okay, let me see. Carolyn, like besides the issues and the activism, is there any like training? So like if someone if they can't make it to like your meetings or whatever, can they go to your website or Facebook and they can see, this is how you go through things, here in the state? Is there any kind of training like that? Like,
no, that would be good to have it up like that. I mean, we do training in our little meetings, a little training, and we did one Zoom call last week, actually, which was on immigration. So,
or even if you didn't have like training videos or something, what about like a FAQ where like the things that you're always hitting new people with, they could just go right to, we could just send people right to your FAQ. This is how you contact your person. This is what you say. Here's a good script, all just a list of things.
Well, you can follow and you can be in the group. That's
the main one, but we do have the Oklahoma section on that website, on their website. So
on the website. Okay.
Yeah,
so
maybe not on the Facebook, Jenny.
Okay. Well, is it eagleforum.com?
O-R-G.
My A is broken. I'm not kidding. I may have to, it's like, how do you type anything without an A?
I don't know.
Okay, so here is the website. And so eagleforum.org. And, oh, hey, World Health Organization. Are you supporting the World Health Organization?
Not at all. We're happy that Trump isn't either. But they're still sneaking their stuff in, so we have to be aware.
Okay, so I would assume it's somewhere. This is a pretty big website. Wow.
It's huge. It has tons of information. This is such a great site to go to, and you can learn about probably anything you need to know.
Yeah, and they've already got, this is from last year. Eagle Council videos from the Eagle Council. Right. Okay, so and Gloria said this is training that's paramount, and I do think that may be one thing that after this season, this legislative session is over, I think one thing that we do need to do, and we actually have a room that I believe that we could use. I think what we need to do is we need to get together and get a whole group of people together and do some training on citizen lobbying. Yes. I just think that it would be such a helpful. I think it would just be so helpful, because I do know that a lot of people, when I first went to the Capitol in 2008, I remember thinking to myself, this is kind of scary and I don't know anything. And it's a great big building.
Well, it's overwhelming at first.
It is. And I do think that's, and Steph says yes. So I do think that this is something you and I need, and Michael need to work on, and we'll just get a citizen lobbying training done for maybe over the summer or something, so that we'll be ready, and maybe even in the fall, so we'll be ready, when the session comes up. But I do think when I've talked to people before, they're like, well, I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what's going on. And so then that keeps them from interacting with
That's part of why we're meeting at the Capitol now, to get familiar with the process of getting in there and knowing where all the elevators and bathrooms are, and all the stuff you need to know, and where your person is in the building.
Well, and sometimes people don't know what a committee meeting is. Can you go into a committee meeting? Are you not allowed to go? So, and then it just feels like then you're just too nervous to do anything. And then it's just an easy opportunity to say, well, I'm not going to do this because I don't know what that's about. Right.
Right.
So I think the best thing that you can do is give people education on any topic. And then that solves so many problems because they feel empowered. And I kind of hate that word, but it's true. I mean, once you know something.
Well, you have some confidence if you have some knowledge. So we need to disperse the knowledge as best we can.
What do you think is the most important step for people who want to get involved but aren't sure what to do until we can put together a meeting, which we will do? What do you think is the most important step?
Well, they could go to the national website and start reading about the issues. And I'm sorry, I don't have the actual address for you, but they go to the Oklahoma side of it and see what we've got there. There's not that much there right now, but we're going to be putting more and more on. But just to see, you know what issues are moving you, and then so look up those things. Go to Legiscan, the website, put in the topics that you're interested in.
Oh, that's
all
true.
this stuff will come up. I mean, there's enough there to keep you busy for days and weeks and months, probably. There's so many bills all at once. Like, there's over 1,000 in the Senate, and I don't know how many in the House.
Well, there are over 3,500 that were introduced this year.
Total.
Yeah. So I don't even know how do you even keep up with any of that stuff?
Well, that's why you have to, decide what moves you and then go learn about those things.
So this is Legiscan that you were talking about, and you basically figure out where your bill tracking. Okay, so I hit bill tracking, and then you can go, you put your state in, Oklahoma, and this is something really nice. So you could say biosolids, and if you click on that, look what happens.
Right.
So you don't even have to know the bill number. You can just know an idea, a word, and look what you find.
Yeah, it's a super site. It really is.
Well, it's probably the best site if you're interested in legislation that I know of, because the Oklahoma legislature website doesn't work like that. It works like you have to know what bill you're looking up to figure it out. Right. So, and here's the, thanks, Julia. Okay. What do you have, kind of in closing, what do you have that you want people to know of more than anything?
Oh my. Well, that we're here and we're reorganizing, and we need help. We need, people with different skills that want to do different things. Somebody might want to take care of the Facebook page. Somebody might want to write articles on their topic. There's a lot of things that we can work together on.
So Steph has a great question. She said, so many issues in so little time. Any suggestions on prioritizing where to throw your energy, or do you just keep dividing it up? That's a great question, Steph.
Well, it depends on how many people we have working there, doesn't it? For one thing. There's some kind of top issues, I'd say. We had Representative Gann come and talk about the warrantless surveillance with the flock cameras. I'm interested in that. I just really don't like my privacy invaded like that. And I think it all is interconnected to even the Stargate issue with all these data centers. That's the data they're storing. Why? Okay. I better stay back on topic.
But I mean, that's important knowledge, and that's things people need to know.
Well, property rights, and that goes to our wind towers and CO2 pipelines and that problem. And then the election issues, this state question that's coming up. I think it's 836 now. It was 835. But it would be like having an open primary where the Democrats are in the Republican. I mean, it's an open primary. There's no party affiliation, which is totally ridiculous. And it will give you leadership like they have in California. And we don't want that.
Yeah, I mean,
CPA actually is working hard on this issue. And their last, maybe last month's magazine they put out had a big article on it.
Yeah. So. Well, there are a number of issues but that's kind of, I'm going back to the point of the reason why we had you on in the first place, which is together we can do a lot more things than when we're separated.
Right. Because there are the baseline things that all of us need, the training on the lobbying and how to approach people to persuade them. But then you divide up into the issues and then go in your little groups and make a bigger impact.
Well, and I'm gonna say this too, and I believe that you would agree with me 100% here. So when I first started doing Common Core and trying to fight against that, it was me and a couple other people, and then when you and me joined up, and then Tulsa 912 and all of these other groups started coming together, all of a sudden we started to see response. We started to see the issue moving. We started to see that we were gaining some ground.
And that resolution that I wrote for the RNC on Common Core was probably one of the most effective ones that we ever got passed. Because, I mean, that really went to several other states and helped them to fight it in their states. So those kind of things, networking, even with the other states on the same issues, can be very effective. So,
and really the only way to do that is together.
Right. So I like to write, and the resolution writing was the most fun part of my RNC experience.
Well, and you did a great job at those.
Phyllis Schlafly loved my resolutions. So that was a lot of encouragement there for me. So
well, but you were excellent at it. I mean, I read your resolutions. You were excellent at it. Yeah. And we can use that again, and we need to use that experience as we move forward, because you know so much about the legislative process that people can learn from. It's just, I think it will jumpstart so many people, to just have access to the information that you've collected over the years.
Well, and likewise, you too. I mean, you've done a whole lot more on the ground than I have, I think, at the
no. I cry on that, but we absolutely will work together, and I've told Carolyn that I'm going to help her as much as I possibly can, and getting this going and doing what I can to help, because I know what success we saw when we all worked together before,
right?
And
exactly,
we just need to go back to that. It
was very effective, and it was satisfying to do that. And just really feel like you accomplished something. So,
right now it feels like spinning our wheels. So we need to do that. Okay. So I'm going to put up your email one more time. Okay. So everybody who's on, please write this down and then reach out to Carolyn and just say, hey, put me on your mailing list, because as she moves forward and, I kind of try to help move this forward, we're going to need an email list of people who are interested. Right. And then we'll get the Facebook page up and we'll do this other stuff. But I definitely think that you and I need to work on getting a citizen lobbying program done together.
Right.
And I do think that will help a lot of people. I really do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that and having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, honestly, Carolyn, you're a phenomenal, you're just a resource that is golden. I mean, you're just a golden resource, and we need to absolutely use that. So thank you for being
Well, we're in
on.
the golden age now, right?
Well, according to Trump. So
yeah. Well, I do want to make a note on that Jenny and I talk about all the time. And this will go towards the participation of people coming into Eagle Forum. No one's going to save us. Trump's not going to save us. We have to do the work ourselves here. He's not going to come save us from all these 3,500 bills in our own legislature.
Right. For sure. That's right. It's our territory. And locally too, working on school board elections is a major deal. I've been helping out with that here in Payne County. So yes.
But then again, once we teach them how to lobby, that will come as well, the school board thing. Right. So we're going to work on that. Well, thank you again for being with us, Carolyn. You're a blessing. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to be on, and we'll just continue to work together, and we'll be better than ever come next session.
Sounds good. Fight, right?
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Carolyn is the best. I mean, she's just the best. I mean, her experience, like I said, just goes all over the place. Guys, if you're interested in having somebody to go to the Capitol with, if you feel like, I just don't know what I'm doing, you need to reach out to Carolyn. Please do that. One more time. I'm going to stick up her. There we go. Carolyn.eagleforumok@gmail.com. Reach out to her and she'll email you back. I mean, trust me, she's wonderful, and she will email you back. And then, you can help her kind of help to get Eagle Forum restarted back here. And let me tell you too, I have never had so much fun. We used to, Carolyn and I and a whole big group of us used to go to it was the Education Policy Conference that one of Phyllis Schlafly's kind of right-hand ladies, Donna Hearn, she's also passed now, used to put together in January. And we used to go to that conference, and we used to have so much fun. I mean, we'd get educated, but then it was just so much fun. It was the same way with Eagle Forum. I was only able to go to one of them, but I met, he's a physician, and his son is also a physician, and he wants to audit the Fed.
Ron Paul?
Yes, I met Ron Paul and his wife. If you have ever met Ron Paul, honestly, that man is he's like Santa Claus. He's the sweetest person I've ever met in my whole life.
Literally phenomenal.
He just is.
Hey, and Robert has a good comment down there also.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. Sorry, pardon me. Oh, Carolyn. Well,
I think that'd be excellent.
Carolyn, you need to start a Substack.
Oh, gosh. On my to-do list then.
Okay. I'll help you with that this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Bye again. Yes, I think that's great. Carolyn should start a Substack, and I will work with Carolyn. I'll help her kind of get her pointed in that direction, because Substack now has video. They have all this stuff. I think that's a great idea, actually, Robert. I think maybe a Substack would almost be better than a Facebook page. I'm not really sure, but that's just a good way to get subscribers and to send out info to us. I think you're exactly correct. I think that's a great plan. So we are so lucky that we have such great viewers and so many people that are so interested, that have such great ideas. That's the one thing I love about this podcast. And it's funny. Do you remember, was it last night? Somebody said, were you standing there when somebody came up to me and said, I just like watching your podcast because you have these loyal viewers and they always have these great comments. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. I completely agree. And that's an idea. So yes, I definitely think Yeah, and then cross share information. I agree. That just seems like the perfect way to go. But we used to have so much fun at those conferences, and I do think that it's like once I found out we had access to a room which is a nice room that we could actually get people in that we won't have to pay a fortune for, I started thinking about all these ways, all these things that we could do, to get people together, because I do think, I think COVID screwed that up so badly, just our sense of community, and being together, and how much fun it is to be together to do these kinds of things. So I definitely have some ideas in the works. And one of the things that we'll do is get with Carolyn and get a meeting set up where we talk about citizen lobbying. I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
All right. You wanted to talk about something.
Well, I need to, I told you we have that airplane sale.
Oh, yeah.
And the guys literally called me like 10 times in a row.
Uh-oh. So you're going to have to get off?
Well, I don't have to get off. I just need to go make this call so I can finish.
Okay. Well,
this deal real quick. So I'll be right back.
You do that. And then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over what was on our website yesterday. So go ahead, and then we'll see you in a second.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you something that I wrote on the website yesterday. I think some of you have seen this. It's now viral. There was all right. There's so many buttons on this. There are always so many buttons to push. All right. So this was an article that I wrote yesterday. Parent who posted now viral state approved Warika psychology assignment to her Facebook page speaks out. And I wanted to talk about that just a little bit, because this sweet girl, for those of you who I'm sure you probably saw, because I think it was all over Facebook. There was this girl, Ashlyn, her niece was in an 11th grade psychology class, and this crazy assignment got passed out to them. And you can see I've kind of scrubbed it out because everybody was sharing the thing and getting so upset about it. And I'm like, but guys, you're sharing it, and then everybody's seeing it and you're upset about it. And how many kids are seeing it now that you're sharing it all over the internet? So I was kind of like, I don't think we want to do that. I think we really don't. We want to make sure that people can't really read it. So I kind of smudged it up a little bit so you can read it. But the bottom line is this, and this is what happens when you go to our website. And if you will type that in, you will subscribe to the website. But let's continue reading for now. I wanted to just make a couple of points. So Ashlyn Jade, who was the mom who posted this, her niece was in that class, but her daughter is in 5th grade. And so what happened was this particular assignment was put into class, and her niece took a picture of it. And then I think she was the one who posted it to Snapchat. Well, come on, any of you who have kids or even grandkids, you realize that if it's on Snapchat, it goes viral. And then so in a very short period of time, pretty much every kid, I think, in Warika who had a cell phone knew about this particular issue. Oh, you read it unsmudged. Yes. And people thought it had to be a joke. I was seeing that so many times, and people thought it was a joke. And then tell me, you guys who are on here, that you didn't see people who were okay with this. And this is like it was a completely disgusting page. It was like, is it normal if you do this? And it was all kinds of freaky sex things. Is it normal if you do this? Is it normal if you do that? I was like, this is crazy. So basically what Ashlyn did was she as soon as she found out that this happened, she called the principal. And the principal kind of played the, well, don't worry about it. Everybody's been notified who is in the class. All the parents in the class have been notified. Just don't worry about it. And she's like, but wait a minute. You don't seem to understand. It's not just the kids in that class. It's the kids in the whole school who have Snapchat, who have now seen it everywhere. How do you not address that? Well, it happened on Monday. She called him on Tuesday and talked to him on Tuesday. And she got kind of PO'd because she just felt like she got blown off on the whole thing. And she was trying to explain, but wait a minute, hang on, that it's not just those kids. It's the kids all together in the whole the school that are the problem. And she just kind of felt like she was getting the runaround. So she went ahead and she posted the post on Facebook. But I want to make the point that if you look, she didn't say where it came from. She didn't say anything mean about the coach. She didn't say anything. She just said, look at this. It's completely gross. We don't need this in school. Well, as a parent, isn't that your job? Now think on that. As a parent, isn't that your job to go, hey, this isn't okay. We're not doing this. I don't like this. There was nothing wrong with that. And again, she didn't out anybody. The only way they found out was from Waurika was because somebody on her original face post said, is this the one in Waurika? And she said, yes, that was it. And that's how everybody found out about it. So was it Tuesday? What was the 5th? So Wednesday, Cody Simmons, who's the superintendent at Waurika, came out with this letter. On Monday, March 3rd, Waurika Public Schools Administration was made aware of a form that was sent out to our high school psychology class. This form was taken from a state-approved psychology curriculum. The content of this form was inappropriate for students and should not have been dispersed. The curriculum was removed from class, and all parents of the class were notified on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Waurika Public Schools will continue to hold our staff and our students and our staff members to the highest expectations. Well, that's what she said. And I just kind of talked a little bit about, and then here's the other thing. Ryan Walters actually, and this kind of bugged me. So Ryan Walters put it up on his Facebook page. And then again, he left it completely so everybody could see it. So again, he's complaining about it. And then as the superintendent, he publishes the whole thing. I was a little annoyed by that. I thought, well, I don't see how that's a good thing. But the point of the matter is, oh, hang on. We've got some comments. So I read it. It was disgusting. Far too many people were asking context. That's the context. What do you mean? As an adult, I was completely creeped out. I was like, we have to know a context? Are you kidding me? I'm with you, Lisa. Julie says people are taking their children for genital mutilation. So we need to remember how sick our society is. And there's something to that. The people who approved this for a school setting should be fired immediately. And I want to talk about that. Removed for class, forever in the eyes, minds, and hearts of everyone who read it. And, you can't unsee things. I mean, that's kind of a joke. People say that, well, I can't unsee that. Well, you can't. And now the kids have already seen it. I mean, Pandora's out of the box. They've already seen it. But the point I wanted to make is this. I talked to Kendra Wesson yesterday for quite a bit. Kendra Wesson, who was on the state school board, who was fired by our phenomenal governor. She was telling me about how this particular situation works. So the textbook committee gets together and adopts textbooks. So the state adopts textbooks. And all that does, it doesn't tell every school what textbooks to use. It says, here are the list of textbooks that you can spend state money on. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because she was like trying to explain it to me. And I felt like kind of a moron because I was having a hard time understanding it myself. So the state textbook committee gets together, decides what textbooks they're going to put on the list that are state approved, meaning you can use state funds for them. So now think about that for a second and kind of let that settle into your consciousness here. So if that's the case, then who adopted that particular textbook? Waurika did. Okay. So yes, the state textbook committee may have approved it, but the buck actually stops at Waurika. And another thing that Kendall told me that was interesting is this book goes all the way back to 2000, the year 2000. So it's 25 years old. And I was like, well, I'm not sure. Is that supposed to make me feel better or worse? Because think about that. 25 years ago, that garbage was in our classrooms. That's a lot of years. That almost bothered me worse than the whole thing. I'm like, so this thing has been going on for that long? So it's been there since 2000. And so the book had a workbook with it. And the workbook is where Coach Jesse got the pages that he copied off to put in front of the kids. Now, in my particular perspective, there is a whole lot of blame to go around, but it would not be on our parent. The parent holds no blame. Sorry, I'm completely on the side of Ashlyn. She saw something that was gross and disgusting. She wanted to make sure that other parents saw that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I applaud that. I think every parent should do that. If a school is not behaving, and she went to the principal and she said, hey, here's this problem. And the principal kind of went, meh. She was not okay. He didn't understand the problem. And the problem was that every kid probably had seen that gross, disgusting thing that put thoughts in their heads that they shouldn't have had in 5th grade, like was Ashlyn's daughter was in 5th grade. It was her niece that was in 11th grade. So honestly, it's just, Steph says the agenda revealed, but that's true. Come on. It's been in since 2000. Ick. So anyway,
what are we talking about? What's been in since 2000?
Well, you were off, so you don't get to know.
I know. I had a heated, if you can't see my face is still a little red. I was having a very heated conversation.
Kidding. Well, now, and Steph, now here's the thing, and Ashlyn, please go to the website and look at the it's rope2.org. It's super easy to find. Go read the article that I posted. Ashlyn wants people to understand, because think about this. Waurika isn't a huge town. So what's going on now is that all of the firing squad has circled in on Ashlyn. Ashlyn is now the problem. And she's not. She's not the problem. The school adopted the curricula. The coach wasn't paying enough attention. I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around, but it's not on the parent. It's not. She did the right thing. So I would just really, Ashlyn says that this coach has been in the educational system for like 40 plus years, and he's been at Waurika for a really long time. People love him. He's a beloved coach. She wasn't really trying to get the coach in trouble so much as she was just trying to say, hey, this is a problem, people, and we need to know about it. Well, obviously she was right, because the stinking post went viral. My gosh, it ended up on some national news show. It's not, I mean, yeah, people were grossed out about this. I don't know that it was that particular coach that was the problem. I don't think it was a grooming thing. The way she explains it, it was just, I was in too much of a hurry and didn't pay enough attention to it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not sticking up for the coach, because every teacher should be very well aware of everything that young eyes are fixed upon in their classroom. So that is an issue. But again,
well, I mean, it didn't take very long to get into that survey to even see how quickly it was going crazy. I mean, I mean, not to go against a coach or any teacher, but how do you hand something out and you don't even look at it?
Well, and again, that was a concern, and I think that's a major concern. It's something that, again, and I will say again, every teacher needs to know exactly what's going in front of young eyes. Every teacher has to. Well, and then Julia said, who wrote the disgusting but consulted to the school, they certainly should be held accountable. Well, it's not even the textbook company, it's the textbook committee, the Oklahoma State Textbook Committee, that would have been the one that adopted it. And don't forget, this was under, well, it's interesting. Kendra's going to come on and we're going to do a live with her on Wednesday at 1:00. So keep that in your head. She's going to come on and she'll talk a little bit more about this. We're going to talk about several issues, but she's going to talk a little bit more about this and about how textbooks get approved and all of that kind of thing. But this was under, I think, the Joy Hoff, what does JJ call it? Hofschister, calls her Hofschister.
Yeah.
Under the Joy Hofmeister regime, that this book was actually approved. But again, Waurika paid good money for it, right? So let's think about where the blame actually lies. Number one, it's not with the parent, right? It's just not. The coach still has responsibility for it, but the main problem is the school of Waurika. Waurika public schools are where all the big booms should fall. They're the ones that had it in their school. They're the ones that spent the money to buy it. So there you go. So we have all kinds of different things.
Don't discount their school board members. They're just as much. They're just as much at fault as anybody. Hammer those school board members.
Anyone who believes the mom is the problem is the case that needs to be investigated, and that's mine.
But but that's what we see over and over again in all these cases in all these small towns. The family that comes forward is literally outed in every one of these small towns.
And I was trying to explain that to her, and that's why I said, well, let me write your story. Let me just put it out there so that people, because she did not, I promise you, after interviewing this woman, she didn't want that to happen. Yeah. None of that was what she just was frustrated and went boom. And think about her. And this is something I want people to understand about Ashlyn too. Has she taken that post down? No. She's still taking the heat over it. That's one heck of a woman with a backbone, because most people would have gone, I can't believe this got me in trouble, and would have taken it off. She's like, I did it. It's out there. I get it. This Ashlyn is not the problem.
Yeah.
She is
that's our job
here.
That's our job, is to protect these kids.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There has to be some kind of psychology play here, exposing children to all the sexual deviancy, early breakdown of the family. And yes, actually, Robert, that's 100% correct. And that is what the Marxists wanted to do. They've said that out loud over and over again. If you go back to the original Communist Manifesto, it says break down the family, because the family, they know the family unit is strong. When everybody's on the same page, everybody's strong. When you start decaying the moral fabric of the family, you break it down. It's gone. You win. And yes, Gracie, she is a warrior. She's a warrior. So you got to give it up to her. And I will be the one that will stand up for that woman no matter what, because, she did the right thing. Sorry. She did the right thing. And Waurika Public Schools, if you're a little bit agitated about it, too dang bad. Too dang bad. And parents in Waurika, if you're having some kind of fit over this and are all mad at Ashlyn, you are completely wrong and need to sit down in a corner and have a reset, because you're completely wrong here.
Hey,
Ashlyn is not your enemy.
I'm going to send in an open records request to Waurika Public Schools, And I just want to see how many emails going through all the admins talking about Ashlyn.
Do that.
Yeah, I'm going to send it in. I want to see what all they're saying in all their little emails about the parent who turned them in for their survey.
Well, and Denise makes a point. This is a huge point, and I almost overlooked this. And kids should be comfortable in sharing questionable content with their parents. Yes, 100%. So, I don't know. And back to what Lisa said, why would anyone give Ashlyn any heat? I want to meet up with the people who believe this is appropriate for students in a dark alley at night. But in all honesty, how have you not seen, Michael, some of the comments on social media about this? And there are people actively pushing back and saying, well, this stuff needs to be in school and we need to have, Miss MJ says, Miss MJ says, Michael, what's up with the Hillary shirt?
Hillary for president.
Look, Miss MJ.
I'm just putting it back out in the ethos. I just don't want her to get away. Trump was going to do something to her the first time. It's the second time. Let's go. Let's not let her off.
That's so fun. Gracie, get her done, Michael. That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm going to send in open records requests. Let's just see what they say.
Yeah, I definitely think let's do that, because that's the other thing that absolutely bothers me and why I wanted to get that interview with Ashlyn out so far is because this is going to stop. And I'm going to stick up for any parent who wants to come out and talk about this stuff. If you want to talk to me about something, if I can't deal with it, I'll pass you on to our friend Mary at V1SUT, who will also deal with this. But people, we hear, me and Michael, we don't play. We're not in. We will stick up for you as a parent to stick up against this kind of stuff every day of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you won't find any of that other nonsense here. Okay, now that you're back, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I could do a couple things, but did you see the trans sex offender in Arlington, Virginia?
What?
Yeah, did you see that guy?
No.
So there's a guy. So this goes back to when I was on Unwokeable podcast like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I did that. Then after we wrote the transgender bathroom incident here in Edmond. So we wrote that deal. You went on
and
the
it
podcast.
went viral.
I went on the podcast a little bit later. So on that podcast, I told Mark at that time, I said, hey, this is what I see coming down the pipe here within 5 to 10 years from now. You're going to see these guys going into schools, going into women's bathrooms, and they identify as a woman or a girl. They identify as a girl, and they're going to basically use that as a defense in court. And this guy in Virginia, Fox did a big story on him. He's been taken out of 20 different places. He literally just goes into a high school, walks into a high school, goes into a girl's locker room, is in there showering and I'll show you, I'll play a short video of this guy. I mean, just
Please
look
do.
at this guy. But it's the same thing. This guy keeps getting off because of his civil rights, because he identifies as a woman. So he has a right to be there. And that's what they're fighting. So let me put this guy. I mean, just looking at this guy, I mean, how can you even allow this guy?
And he's going into public schools?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And they're letting him?
I guess he's going.
How can they do that?
I don't know. I don't know how he's. So just take a look at this guy.
Ew.
Yeah. This is the guy right here. Identifying as a woman, 20 different places. That Fox did a whole deal. I mean, this is a pretty good article on Fox. Transgender sex offender claims ban from women's bathroom violates his civil rights. I mean, you could just see it plain as day. And that's what I talked to Mark about for a little bit on that podcast, was you can just see that's the next steps, just because they believe that they identify a certain way. But that's like a 4.5 minute video or so. That's worth the watch. And then
it's doing it again. I can't see it on Rumble. I'm wondering if it's from your page, because Robert says he can't see it either. And when I was looking at Rumble, it's not on.
Really?
So I'm wondering if it's your, you know what? I'm going to put it up and see if it works.
It comes up within about 20 seconds or so. Because I can see it on my side. I wonder why I can't see it on your side.
Yeah, it's not coming up for me either. Okay, well, we need
I can see your video.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is I can't see it on Rumble, and Steph's saying she can't see it, and Robert's saying he can't see it. So for whatever reason, I'll have to call StreamYard today and just say, well, now that's weird. Then it came up.
Yeah,
Something's wackadoo, because it's like what you said yesterday. And see, then Robert goes, there it is. And we put it up. Yeah, this is weird, Michael. Something is not working.
Yeah. Well,
okay, now it's up. Now it's up, and I can see it on Rumble.
Go rewind back to like 10 seconds in so they can see what that guy looks like.
Oh, Mr. Brightside said it's delayed, but it popped up. So you'll have to click on it, Michael, and go back, because I can't reach the page.
Is this on my side?
Yes. So on your side, you'll have to do it.
Here's the guy.
Okay.
Here's the guy right here.
Give
me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Talk about predator. Talk about a predator. Violating his civil rights, walking into a girl's locker room, taking showers in the girl's locker room is violating his civil rights as identifying as a trans whatever.
Well, oh God, I don't even know. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Bad juju. So there was something else you wanted to talk about too.
Well, we talk about kind of that socialism, that communism, those aspects. Have you ever heard of the Fabian socialist?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Germans.
No, English.
Oh, really?
They're in London.
They were Germans.
They're in London. Well, they may have German roots in one way or another, but they're in London. They go way back. They go back to the 1800s, and the current prime minister, whoever over at England, Keir Starmer or whatever his name is, he's a member. But anyway, I wanted to show you something that's very telling, because a lot of people just don't. First of all, they don't even know about the Fabian Socialists. They're one of those think tank organizations that literally just disseminates the socialism, aspects across all venues of finance to social everything. But I want to show you something that you probably have never seen, Jenny. This is their official logo. I want you to look at it. Tell me what you see there on their official logo.
I don't know. The whole thing is so creepy.
That's a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's literally a black wolf with a white sheep,
taped
tied around the back of it.
Wow, that is super creepy.
Yeah. And it, for anybody that wants to
we can't see it again. It's not coming up.
God, what the heck?
Dang it. I'm going to try to add it. Let's see. I know, Lisa, it's doing the same thing. This is just so frustrating. Okay, hold on a second. It's all, it takes a while for it to pop up.
Yeah,
let's see if we can get it to pop up.
I'll change browsers next time and use a different browser. But anyway, that is so telling. And if you read about the history of these guys, these guys are absolute maniacs. They're just complete maniacs.
How so? Explain.
Well, just with, they're all about depopulation, all those things that you just would consider fringe. That's just their mainstay of control.
Okay, I found a picture of the Fabian Socialists. Yes, and that's what they use too.
Yeah, that's their logo.
Hold on. Let me see if I can bring it up.
It's just disturbing. It's just disturbing is what it is.
All right, let me see if I can pull this in so that people can see it, because yes, that is like super creepy. It is irritating me that we're having to work so hard to get this in. I mean, this shouldn't be something that we're having to work this hard at. So sorry about that, guys. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, and it says Jenny's is delayed. Michael's is not at all. Oh, and he says, ooh, this is interesting. They'll wear your religion like a skin suit. Ew, that's kind of creepy too. And it's still not coming up. There it comes up. Okay. So it's delayed on my side, but then it won't come up for you at all. So that's weird. Okay. So this is
most of these people, most of these organizations, they rebrand themselves so they're not so open. I mean, look at these. This is their official logo, going back to the beginning.
Well, and like I said, my keyboard doesn't work. So these are the Fabian socialists.
Yeah. Just read about them. These dudes are, you want to talk about, that level above the government that's really pulling the strings. That's the.
And so you're saying that what is his name? Carmer, the Prime Minister of England is a Fabian socialist.
Yeah. It's right on his Wikipedia or one of his pages. It's right on there. This is Fabian Socialist.
Is.
I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw it when I was looking into this over the weekend.
Yeah, and like Lisa said, they're not even trying to hide their true mission. Yeah. And I mean, that really, honestly, I don't know how you don't look at that and just go, that is super creepy. Lisa says red flag alert, and Gracie says, are they funded by Gates? And I don't know. I mean, they go back to the 1800s, right? So, and I don't even think Bill Gates was born back then, but we don't know.
Yeah,
he's done so many.
Well, I want to bring this up, and I do have another thing here. I finally, Jenny, through the technology of your cell phone and just some hacking ability, I found a way to track your blood pressure.
No, you didn't.
Through your technology. And this is just a chart. This is like Wednesday show, Friday show, Wednesday show, Friday show, Wednesday, Friday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm just over about a month or so here. So I just wanted people to see this.
You're full of garbage, and people can't see it because I'm looking at it and it's not coming up, so people can't see it, and I can't bring it in. So
yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, that's funny. I can see it. All right. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get off of here this morning, and that is wrote an article just recently, another one of the articles at Rope 2, and I'll bring that one up if we can bring it up. I will bring it up. And it did work last time, didn't it? I think it did. When I brought up the website, we could see the website, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, although there it is. Okay. So let's see if we can pull in the website. Not sure. Okay. We'll wait and see because there's a lag. So I'm pulling, for those of you who are watching. Well, I think the strategy, though, is to sell socialist ideas as conservative. And I agree with you, Robert. I think that's completely what's going on. And that's why the wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay, I have this pulled up. It's not coming up yet. I'm going to give it a minute.
I'm looking on YouTube. It's not on there.
Yeah, populate.
There it is. It's up now.
Okay, so it's just taking a while. Okay, there it comes. All right, so I wanted to show you guys this. And part of the thing I'm hoping to talk to Kendra about, I'm not really sure if we're going to talk about it or not, but part of the thing I want to talk to her about is this. So I did a short video on Wednesday afternoon about this state longitudinal database system, or SLDS. And there's a bill right now out there that wants to create a state longitudinal database. My argument is we already have a state longitudinal database system. But it was interesting as I was going through, if you watched that live video, it was kind of funny because you saw me see something I hadn't, because I haven't looked through all of that data in a really long time. And one of the things that I found in the data was the fact that the state is collecting data on migrants. So students who are illegal are captured at some point in data. And so this was the article that I wrote about it. And I wish you would please go look at it, because there are a couple of bills out there. I think they're still alive. We need to stop this. We already have this. Julian Lynn and I tried to shut this down in 2014, 2013, and couldn't get it done. But this is data that they're capturing on your kids. And I want to point out, so here's the statewide longitudinal database system. You'll look over to see down here where it says CEDS, Common Education Data Standards. Well, I wanted to show this tab this morning because this tab is from the Common Education Data Standards, which are the part of the framework that Oklahoma uses in its state longitudinal database system. Ask me why we use it.
Why is that, Jenny White?
Do you think you might know the answer to the question?
No.
All right, so I'm going to show you something that will show you. All right, so if you go down here, so this Common Education Data Standards, you guys can look this up yourself. It's not hard. Go down here to, and I'm under the model, I'm under the tab that says Data Model Domain Entity Schema. So if you go down here, schema, however you want to pronounce it, and you click on K-12, you can go down here and it says K-12 school, K-12 student. So this is individual data. Okay, now I'm clicking on this. I'm going to open it up. What do you see? Do you see this?
No.
What about this? So if we expand this, it says immigrant, Title III immigrant status, Title III immigrant participation status, status start date, status end date, first entry date into U.S. school. So I clicked on this because I wanted to know what that was. So it brings up and it tells you what Title III immigrant status is. So how do we know this is all about money, Michael? They say it right here. Definition, an indication that the child is an immigrant according to the Title III of ESEA definition, meaning children who are aged 3 through 21 who are not born in any state and have not been attending one or more schools in any one or more states for more than full 3 academic years. So what do you think? Do you think we collect this data or not?
I don't know. Doesn't look like we do.
Because we don't want to get money from the ESEA, from the federal government.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say that's only because of the federal funds that's available there.
So, and I talked to Kendra about this too, and we're looking into this to see exactly what it is that Oklahoma collects and doesn't collect. But the bottom line is, and I think everybody can understand this perspective. You don't create something you don't use. Because it takes too much time. It takes money. It takes time. Why would you do that? You don't create something you don't use. And we know that Title III is under the ESEA. The every student exceeds whatever they call it now that Obama came up with, the federal guidelines for schools. And we know that there is money attached to these titles. And you know that you don't get the money unless you fill in the blanks, right? So I'm going to be very interested to see if we can come up with any more information on this. But the way it looks right now is that Oklahoma, if they want to get Title III funds, if they want to get funds, they're entering this immigrant status anyway, whether the governor likes that or not. So,
wow. You know what? How much data? I mean, do you think all the data that is available that they actually collect, they actually publish and show you the fields? I mean, do you think there's other things that they do not actually show us?
No, I'm positive of that, because when you look at the wave, remember, and I talked about this on the video the other day, we have a data governance council. There are actually people on it, at least there. I can't find anybody new. I can't find anything since 2023, but there's supposed to be a governance data council. And what these data counselors do is, if somebody wants to access the wave database, they have a permission slip. They have to fill out the permission slip, and then the council has to decide whether or not that person can get into the database. Okay. So literally, if you were a researcher, let's say, and you, or a professor or something, fill in the blank, and you wanted to get into the data to look at the data, you can fill out a permission slip to do that. And if they allow you, if they grant you access, you can get in to see the data. But guess what? Parents can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I just wonder if there's levels of permission, like a researcher, they're going to give access to this amount of data, and someone else is going to have, access to a higher set that is even more data, that they don't want to allow a researcher to access. I just wonder if that's part of.
I didn't get that. I'm not going to, everybody I think who watches this knows I don't, I'm not trying to say I'm an expert at everything. I'm just not. But the way I read it, that's not the way it works. The only reason why you have to have permission to get into this database is because of PII, personally identifiable information. Yeah. That would be Jenny White's address, Jenny White's birth date, Jenny White's whatever. That's personally identifiable information. And that's what the government tries to keep safe. So really, the only reason why they're not allowing access is because of that one thing. So if you get access to the database, you just see everything that's in there because you have gotten permission to see kids' PII.
Wow.
That's the way I understand it. Wow. Now, if I'm wrong, everybody knows that you can say that I'm wrong, and it doesn't offend me, because I would much prefer that everybody has the right information and is properly educated. So if you've got something to tell me that is opposite of that, and please let me know. I am absolutely always happy to be educated myself. So,
I wonder if we can find, some kind of way to see if the state or whoever's selling that information to a third party in some way.
Well,
would that be possible?
And I don't know. That's something to look into. But I do want to point out something that I did not point out on the live video that I did on Wednesday. Do you know how many, and the answer is, I'm just saying this as a rhetorical question because nobody really knows the answer to this. Do you know how many programs students are accessing in classrooms?
Well, define programs. What do you mean programs?
Well, that's a good point. An English program, I feel like I'm playing, what's that? 2-second word sounds like.
So like not necessarily like a computer program itself, or is that what you're talking about? Like a digital on a device, a digital actual piece of software running. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So let's say in your classroom, the teacher is dispensing, pads, Google pads, right? And on this Google pad, it has, this is a program for your English. Click on the program for your English and do your English for today, right? Yeah. So how much data is that one program collecting?
Oh, quite a bit, probably.
And I think that's the concern. So we had tried to do something about that at one point in time, because parents have no idea how much data these programs that are being used by their students on these digital devices, they have no idea what even these programs are, let alone what that data is being collected. And when we were really doing heavy research into this, Julie and Lynn and I have, if you go up to our old blog spot, and I'll see if I can't pull that in so you can see. If you go to our, but I will say this, if you go to rope2.org, down on the side, we have that little gutter on the side. It says see our original blog spot, and you can click on that link and it takes you directly to our original blog. And if you just go to that original blog and you search data, you are going to find so much information on stuff that we collected. And it was stuff about programs that were being used in school and how these programs were just hoovering in all this data. Yeah. And that they were using that kind of data that they were pulling in to be able to determine how students were using the program so that they could create programs that would be better tailored to their needs, right? Yeah. Well, so where does this information go? Who has access to that data? We don't have any idea how bad this is. And I haven't studied it since probably 2014 or 15. So I have no idea. I'm sure it's gotten just leaps and bounds and folds worse than it was when I was studying it back then.
Well, as an example, and this is why I was asking about that whole data deal, when the city came out and they were trying to put the smart meter on my house, and I had that whole deal, right? So even though the guys at the city literally told me that they only have access to like 10 fields of data, the date and, all these different fields, I literally made the guy look up, he had to contact the parent company, which was an international company. And the actual smart meter itself collected over like 200 different data points. And he goes, yeah, but we don't access any of those. We don't even, we don't do it. I was like, well, somebody does. Someone else does. That information is going somewhere to somebody for some reason.
I don't do it.
That's the same thing I feel about these schools. Yes, there may be a longitudinal database that we're privy to in some capacity, but there might be another 1,000 fields of data in some way or another that they're actually collecting inside of that maybe the state or the schools, they don't even know about.
Yeah. No. And I don't know why parents aren't more concerned about that, because it is a huge issue. And there are I want to get to a couple of comments about that, because these were really great comments. So Julie says it's hard enough to monitor what they're watching and doing while they're sitting right next to you, much less than if they're away from you all day. And that is 165,000% correct. And Amber says the Chromebooks in classrooms are terrible. Go back to the days when there were computer labs only. And don't forget, remember we had Denise Roberts on here, and she talked about what happened to her young son who was in 5th grade at the time and took home that Chromebook and was searching porn because another kid told him how to do it. Yeah. So he brought the computer home, and they didn't have the proper devices on it to stop all of this stuff. It's just the technology thing is truly going to be the downfall of our society. AI, whatever it is, it's the technology is going to kill us all. I mean, I just don't see any way around it.
After this comment, I'll tell you a funny little story.
Denise says, Trey possible, Michael. All this more than likely goes on to the cloud data centers, and who gets to buy access to this personal info? And Julia says they spent $10 million to make your data language compatible with a superhighway, but only for regional use, according to John Craman. Yeah, right. So John Craman was the man that Janet Barisi brought in as superintendent to create the state longitudinal database. And John Craman was the man from the Federal Department of Education that was tasked under Obama of creating the state longitudinal database, and Dr. Barisi brought him here to do that. So there's just no way that neither Julia nor I nor Lynn believe in any way that what we have right now isn't collecting reams and reams of data, because we had the original architect building ours.
Yeah.
So don't tell me, we don't know about that. That's just a big pile of dog poo that they put out to, try to deflect, because there's just no way. So what's the story? Oh, wait, hold on.
I was going to tell you.
He told me, hold on. He told me to my face he was proud that he was in the room in DC when Common Core was created. I remember that day because your face was as red as the sun. You were so mad about that. And I didn't make that meeting that day. And you and Lynn heard him say that. So yeah, these are the people who did this, and it's still here.
Well, back on these school devices. So like at my house, I have some serious screen time and app restrictions and the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, I literally know when my kids can't be on stuff and everything. So I was walking by one of my son's rooms and I heard, a video playing in his room. So, and I knew that he didn't have any internet time and he doesn't have certain access to like YouTube and some of these deals. So anyway, I walked by, I heard it. So I walked in there. I was like, hey, what's going on? What I saw him, he shut the cover and, he's all, what I was like, you doing some schoolwork? He's like, yeah. So anyway, I said, open that up. Let's look. Well, he's on YouTube on his school Chromebook because I don't have access to monitor that. But he's so they're going to figure out a way around that. And the school lets them, the school gives them that access. They could lock that down just like I can lock it down. But no, the school lets those kids do, they're looking like they're at home doing work. They're so diligent on their Chromebooks. He's over there. I mean, luckily he's just watching YouTube. But I mean, that can just escalate like, right into porn, right into everything else. I mean, because that's where you have that access point that's not necessarily monitored, because I can't stand there next to him, for 2 hours while he's doing his homework.
Well, and the point is of that whole story, the school overrode your parental responsibility. That's the bottom line. Because every kid is going to screw up. Every kid is going to be a kid. Every kid is going to try to get around things. That's what kids do.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's part of that. Oh, well, human beings, we're just great people. Blah, that non-biblical thought process. As Christians, we believe, we're inherently sinners. That's why we need to have Jesus, because we basically suck on ice, and we've got to have something that makes us better than just our, regular everyday urges, And I think the worst thing that progressivism did was give us the belief that humans are okay. We're good people. Hey, if you're a good people, everything's okay. No, we're not good people. That's the problem. People are going to mess up. People are going to do things. Kids are going to try to get around rules. Well, when the school allows them to get around rules, they're overriding your parental responsibility. And that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong. And like Gracie says, that's the bottom line of it all. Take the authority away from parents. And I 150% believe that. That's exactly what the idea is. It's back to what we talked about earlier. Break down the family, take away these things that make us a family, because we're stronger together when we are a family. But until we get more parents to realize what's going on, we can't fix anything.
Yeah. Well, I explained it pretty easy to my son the other day, because we were talking about something. He's like, how's this, how's all destroying the family? How's that, anything like whatever we were talking about, I can't remember. And I said, pretty much. I said, you're lucky we have a solid, coherent, cohesive family unit here. You don't experience all the things that these broken families do. But I said, it's pretty simple, son. I'm not going to name which son it was because I don't want to embarrass him. But I said, it's pretty simple, son. I said, if you have a broken family, now the government is your father. The government is your mother. They're the ones providing for you. They're the ones doing everything for you. Now you're dependent on them instead of your own family and yourself. And I said, that's what it comes down to, is they want you dependent on them. They don't want you independent. They don't want a cohesive Christian moral family unit. They want a broken, dependent person that's going to go along with whatever they say.
Exactly right. John Boy says, my 6-year-old son, when he was in his mom's schoolroom, he hacked and bypassed the security of the school to get on a gaming site. The school tech guy asked him how he did it, and he showed him.
Wow.
Destroying the family always ends up in tyranny and slavery. And, government is the enemy of God, which is absolutely, because government becomes God. That's their whole, that's their whole thing. Oh, speaking of God, but I'm going to call him a king. I'm going to start referring to him as King Stitt. So King Stitt managed to work some people in the legislature to his benefit to take a bill and dump new language into it that basically said that the new board members can add anything they want to the agenda. So basically what King Stitt wants is he wants his board members to be able to drive the agenda of the State Board of Education. So what? Neither am I. Neither am I. I'm not kneeling to any king but Jesus. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Sadly, there are many parents today that come from broken homes and don't realize what it's supposed to be. And you know what, Gracie? We do, especially as Christians, we do have to have that empathy for people that don't know different situations. Actually, I came from a broken home. My parents were divorced when I was 13 years old. But my mother was, I was thinking, I hope I don't cry again on my podcast, but I was thinking about my mother again. I think about her all the time. But she was not an authoritarian. She knew very well that she could not control me because I was just a simply uncontrollable, horrible child. But she loved me. And I always knew that she loved me. I always knew that she loved me. And it didn't matter. So from basically 13 to when I got married at 18 or 19, I ran my whole life. I had a home base, which was my house, but I pretty much ran my whole life. I had my own job. I had my own car. I did my own stuff. I ran my own life. And I didn't make good choices and I wasn't a good person. But you know what? After I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, all of that love that my mom showed me during all of those times that she couldn't control me and I was doing my own thing came back. And I was just a different person. And so I believe that we have to have empathy, Gracie. I believe that we have to have that. And we have to love these people that don't have that. Because even though I had a broken home, I had a mother who loved me. And so many people, and a dad. That sounds terrible. It's just that my dad wasn't living at home with me. My mom was right there. And my dad loved me too. But some people don't have that. And we have to pray for these families and we have to pray for these children who don't have that, because that makes a tough life. Yeah. And it makes you more susceptible to, government direction, that kind of thing. And
as another just small example to that, that we see, Jenny, is now they don't let parents in the classroom. They don't let parents into the lunchroom. I remember as a kid, I loved nothing more than when one of my friends' dads, came to lunch with us in elementary school. Yeah. You just love that guy. You just looked up to him like, hey, here's this guy. Even my own dad, the one time in my life when my dad came to lunch, that was like the biggest deal ever. And it was just like a role model for all my friends. They're like, man, your dad came to lunch. I can't believe, all this. And you think about today, I can't go have lunch in my kids' schoolroom. They
See,
don't want
that's
us in there.
wrong.
They don't want positive role models in the school, in the classrooms. And it just drives me up the wall that it's come to that point that they won't even allow a parent to go in and have lunch in Edmond Public Schools with their kid in elementary school.
That's absolutely wrong. We got a whole bunch of really good comments here. Jesus came to set the captives free. We need to tell folks about him and love people into his kingdom. And I completely 100% agree with that. And love is always the most biggest component. I'm telling you, it worked for me. Train up a child. That's right. My mom tried, but she did, she trained me up and she loved me and my dad loved me. In V1SUT latest article, Weston wanted to get rid of Imagine Math. It's not SBE curriculum. Imagine Math is failing my second grader. Yeah. How is that in classrooms? And we need to have Sandy Harrell back on, maybe with Kendra, and talk about that, because our friend Sandy, Dr. Harrell, is extremely upset about what's going on in math right now. This is why I have the spoon that says about to stir up. John boy. Each of us does the best we can with what we have at the time. And Denise, that's 100%. And you do, that is what it is. But I guess that's a great thing, again, about Jesus and being a Christian, is we have that opportunity to pray for families that we know are broken and pray for that love and we need to do that. I was at the school so much, some of the teachers thought I worked there. That's true. That's funny. So anyway, we probably need to get off of here because it's 1:56 and we're already at 2 hours again. But I don't know. Things are tough. Things are tough. And I think Miss MJ was on this morning and she said, thanks to shows like yours, they're being revealed. And we were talking about and Miss MJ says this, Michael, at my son's school, you had to be let in. You can't pass the office. So same thing. Wow. We've got to stop this. Parents need to get back in school. And if for no other reason than what you just said, Michael, it's important that kids have role models.
Yeah.
And that they know they have them in the community. So, all right. Well, we will get off of here since it's 1:57. And guess who's with us on next Wednesday? We have actually 2 things going on next Wednesday. I forgot, Kendra, we'll have to reschedule. Dr. Randy Grellner is going to be on, and he's going to be talking about, there are some healthcare bills that are going on at the Capitol that are bad, and Dr. Grellner's going to set us straight on that. And then at 2:30, our state auditor and inspector, Cindy Bird, is going to be on with us at 2:30 to talk about the Tulsa audit. So I need to get that out there and make sure everybody knows that we've got 2 lives on Wednesday that we need to do. And Kendra, I told Kendra we would do a live with her on Wednesday, but we're going to have to change it to another day. And then on Friday, our friend Andrew Spino is going to come on and talk to us about Lincoln. And you were telling me about that the other day, Michael, and about how Lincoln wasn't a great person. I was like, really? Isn't it great that we can educate people on this show too?
That's right. He was probably one of the most tyrannical presidents ever.
See, and I just didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll be good talk with Andrew. And there's 2 books. I'll actually one of them's out of print, but I'll flash those up on the screen whenever we do that after we get off with Andrew.
Awesome. That'd be great. Okay. And then at 1 p.m., I'm going to have a live interview with Melissa Remington, she's done Tulsa Parent Voice, and now she's responsible for the Oklahoma Doge account. And she has been working. She was the one parent who really pushed for this Tulsa audit. Yeah. And if you want to see how one parent can affect a huge amount of things, you need to tune in at 1 on Friday when we talk to Melissa, so you can find out kind of what she's been doing. And then the week after that, we've got V1SUT Mary coming on, and we'll probably end up having Kendra on that week on Wednesday. So that's the crazy thing about when the legislature's in session, there's always too many things to do. And we end up on live podcasts all day.
Yeah.
So we have one. John Boyce says at one of the local schools, they have the doors locked and you have to ring a doorbell and talk to get in. That's not okay. We need to have a show on that, Michael, and how to fix that.
Yeah.
Lincoln was buddies with Karl Marx. Didn't know that either. This is going to be interesting. Melissa's great. Yes, she is. And she has changed the state of the state. And yay. Oh, Kendra. So Kendra, since you're on, we'll do next Wednesday. So we'll do Wednesday the 19th and you'll get to be on after Mary. So sorry about that. I apologize. We'll talk more later. Julia says that makes parents look like they're scary. Oh, it does, doesn't it? I hadn't thought about that, but it does. It does. Well, doesn't it, Michael? Are you scary? Well, yeah, you're scary.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared. I'm pretty scary.
You are scary. All our schools have the doorbells. Really? To be locked out. Right. Yeah.
Hey, let me give you a little caveat. I met with my school board member 2 weeks ago, and I brought up that whole lunch
in a room
deal.
of his choosing.
Yeah. And I brought up that lunch deal. Well, guess who gets to go have lunch with their kid?
Oh, no, that's not true.
Yep. He said, well,
that makes me mad.
Uh-huh. That's what he said.
Oh, no,
I was like,
no.
I said, how fair is that? I said, you get to go have lunch with your daughter. I can't go have lunch with my daughter.
What did he say?
He goes, well, that's just up to the site principal. I said, no. I said, you're the representative of me, and I want fair, treatment across all these schools. I said, because there's no other schools. I've talked to parents from almost every one of these elementary schools. Not one of them can go in there and have lunch with their kid, but you can.
No. Dad gummit, Michael, that makes me so stinking mad. That's not okay. No, but I got to tell you, and I know it makes people angry and cross, and I'm sorry. I love you, but I'm going to say it. If they wouldn't let me in to see my kid would come out and never go back. That's just me. And that is one of the reasons I homeschooled, and I will never forget this story. There was a tornado coming, and Sam was in kindergarten at the time, and Coleman was still at school. So he was in second grade, and Betty was in second grade, and there was a tornado coming, and I was only 2 blocks up the road. That's where I lived. And I was like, oh, heck to the no, my kids aren't going to be at school if something bad's going to happen. So I immediately ran up there. They weren't going to let me take my kids home. And I'm sure nobody's going to be surprised. I made a huge stink. And I was like, oh, by God, yes, they are. And I just literally went in there and grabbed them by their collars and took them out. And I should have at that time just not sent them back. But there's no way you're going to kidnap my child. Trust me. Okay. So now, hold on. Remember when I asked that parent if she'd committed a violent crime and her principal was in the meeting? No, you'll have to flesh that out. I must say, so far as you can still have lunch with your child here, but it has to be pre-planned. Again, I'm still not okay with that, Gracie.
Well, I am okay with that. I mean, I'm fine as long as, I know that there needs to be some concession, and Sarah kind of hits it also in that next comment.
Okay.
They do need to keep certain people out of the school, but I don't have any. And when I met with the principal like 2 years ago, when this issue was like really hot button, I said, hey, you can have a whole list of parents that, at certain days they can come in, we can sign up a month ahead of time. So, who's going to be able to come in or not come in. None of that ever happened. They're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm like, okay, well, let's do it.
That is a good idea, Michael. Yeah. What was the problem with that?
Well, what they don't want certain, and the principal and the counselor literally told me there's certain people they do not want in the cafeteria. There's certain parents they do not want at school. And
so did you ask them, are there certain parents you want funding the school?
No, I didn't ask them that. I didn't ask him. But you know what they did? Here's what they did at my son's elementary. They bought a picnic table and they put it out front. So now if I want to have lunch, I can go pull my kid out of class and we can have lunch on that picnic table out in front of the school as a compromise.
I mean, what do you say to that? It's just so freaking ridiculous.
I mean, they're going to go around, however, at least at certain schools. I'm not going to say blanket across Oklahoma. At least at certain schools, they're going to go, do by any means possible to keep us in one way or another out of the lunchroom, out of the classroom.
Okay, I remember now. Remember when we went to Tahlequah that one time and we were talking about all that COVID stuff? And she said a parent was locked out. And remember, Julia asked her if she'd committed a violent crime. And the woman's face, she was like, because the elementary principal was in that meeting, if you recall. The elementary principal was in that meeting, and she was making all these excuses about why they can't let kids in and all of this kind of stuff. And Julia really got her. So are you a criminal? Yes, dads volunteer in PTO groups every week. Moms volunteer for lunch duty supervising, but then there's custody case issues and parents with ROs and so much broken in society today. And I guess I can see some of that, Sarah, but that doesn't preclude, that shouldn't preclude parents.
They should still have an approved list in one way or another of people that do want to come up there, do want to help participate,
Yeah. And the only problem with what you're saying, John, is, because it was the same way with me. We never had any of that and it was never a problem. But the problem is society. Society has gone right down the toilet in the last even 10 years, let alone, when I was in high school. It's just not even sort of the same way at all. I mean, it's just our society has just taken a wrong turn. And if it's up to me, I'm going to tell you Jesus is the solution to all of that problem. But we got to get people back to Jesus, to really help all of that. Because you cannot legislate morality. That's the other thing that just goes all through me about legislators. Well, we have to do this because people won't do it. You're not going to make them do it if they're not already doing it. It's not going to happen. So don't give me that excuse as, well, we have to have this legislation because blah, blah. No, we don't. It's not. The only thing that fixes morality is Jesus. That's it. I guess, Buddhists are nice people too, but what I'm saying. And yes, you're right. It is messed up. If you have committed a violent crime, then you should be kept out. I agree. Or if you're a pedo, obviously, or, fill in the blank. Yes, you're right. The only book that matters is Fought Harder Than Any Books to Be Kept Out of School. Correct. What about the school staff that's allowed in? Are they oh, Julia always does it. Right before we leave, she puts the in there. Because, that's absolutely 100%.
Well, it's like you said last night. Why do we have
Mary on here?
Yeah, it's like you said last night. Where the predators going to be? They're going to be in the schools. That's where they're going to be.
So, and amen. So I guess we stop on the amen. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We just love you. I know we do because just your comments and all of this, your comments are just as instructive, I think, as Gracie says, Julie is my role model. That's great. Okay. So back to signing off. No more comments. Thanks again for tuning in with us today. You're just a joy and you make me happy, all of you guys. So I really appreciate you. And Michael, you always make me happy because I think you're amazing too. So
happy to help.
So everybody have a great weekend. Although tomorrow you may be inside, we'll see, but have a great weekend and we will see you again on Wednesday and really looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.